Okay, let's get into it. Match review: Huddersfield Town 0, Everton FC 1. Richarlison scored in the opening 3 minutes. Yeah, that's the game, right? That's all. See you later. I'm just joking. Just got done watching the. Well, that's why this review was a little late, because I wanted to check out the Liverpool game and the Tottenham game just to see how the our fellow challengers for the prestigious top 7 spot, which, by the way, which I'll do in another video, that I really don't think that we want for next season, but I don't want to be called a Debbie Downer, so yeah, so I just got done watching those games for 88 minutes before I get into review. I thought that there couldn't be a worse player than players like Nias, for example, for us. Just looking at technical finishing abilities and just all around footballers, and I was all over Llorente's ass during that game. But then, of course, he scores the winner with his header and silences everybody, at least for the time between whoever Tottenham play next and today. So he'll be a hero for a while, but obviously he's not Harry Kane. Anyways, back to the John Smith Stadium, where Everton were looking to do something other than be shit for a change. And first 3 minutes, I mean, a lot of people always say, if you watch enough football, that the first goal scored in the game often determines how the game comes out, or the 5 to 10 minutes after the first goal. And well, we scored within 3 minutes, and I thought personally that we were going to go on and just do a Burnley on them. It would have been kind of ironic, if that's the correct use of the word, for Huddersfield getting their new manager in. Wagner down tools and left. The manager took them to some warm weather training, get to know the squad, get to look at his players, and I don't think that Huddersfield actually did too bad. They tried to attack down the inside most of the time, trying to split Zuma and Keane, trying to get their players through. It worked a little bit. They got through, but many times they were either offside or we closed them down really well. They didn't have much else on the offensive side of things. They tried to put balls in from the outside, but Keane and Zuma dominated 90% of those, and if not, Mr. Pickford took charge of the situation. Players that I thought did outstandingly well, obviously, by what I've got on the screen. Mr. Tom Davis, I could easily see Tom actually wearing that out. He usually likes to wear his dapper outfits with the cravats and the ties and the sunglasses. But I mean, if he showed up to the training ground wearing a crown and some medieval getup like he has on here, I wouldn't be surprised. Good for the Twitter, good for the WhatsApp, good for the... What's the other one? Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I thought Tom Davis had a great game. Cenk Tosun also, I thought, had a good game. And by good game for these people, I mean actually looked like they put in the effort. They did the job that was required, especially Tom. I mean, came out of the cold, put in there because Adrissa had a knock. Finally showed what we needed in the midfield was just a little bit of go-get-'em attitude, pressing high, chasing down, tackling, distributing the ball pretty well, getting into good positions like he did for the opening goal, which was actually, I wouldn't say it was a top quality goal. Like, it wasn't a Barcelona back in the day-esque or a Man City-esque goal, but I mean, throwing comes from Coleman. Tosun takes it down his chest, lays it back to Bernard, I believe. Bernard, he's a good player, good technical player, good vision. Picks out Tom, who just somehow strolls into the box. Ball comes in to Davis, takes a look up. Richarlison's where he should be, coming in off the left, cutting inside. First shot on goal, Lösel, is his name right? Lösel. Saves, but Richarlison's there to punch it back home. 1-0. Doing a little dance. or however you do it. I mean, I can't do it while I'm sitting down in a chair, but pretty good anyways. After the goal, not much really, right? Just we tried. We did more than just pass it around the midfield and pass it back and this and that. But I think the overall scheme, and I'm sure Marco Silva didn't just sit down there, or maybe he did and didn't just go, "Hey guys, don't embarrass yourself today. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever the problems are. Just go out there, a nice professional performance. We're away from home. We need 3 points. You know, just don't fuck it up." And they didn't. I mean, this guy over here, right? This guy over there, Mr. Dunce Captain. Don't get me wrong. I love Luka Dean. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's not an exceptional upgrade on Leighton Baines, but he's what Baines used to be for us. And this is kind of the same with Seamus. Like, the desires there, I'm sure, from Baines, the football knowledge, the understanding of the game, it's all there. But can you do that for 90 minutes? Up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. I don't think so. So Luka came in, you know, not the greatest defensive defender in the world, but his crossing, his touch, his reading of the game is outstanding. Only thing we have to question now, after the Millwall game and after yesterday, not so much yesterday, because I mean, a goal-saving challenge, you might say, took one for the team, you might say, but I mean, and you can't expect him to think about this, right? It's like, okay, well, Leighton got hurt on his rib, or his whatever that is, down a hip. Could have been something. Don't know how bad it was. You come in, you know, we're down one left back if it's a serious injury. So at some point in the back of your head, you've got to say, okay, I can't do anything stupid, you know. But he did, in a way. And funny thing was, there's a post, of course, on Reddit, where all the intelligent, high IQ, qualified people to talk on a subject go to rant and rave, said that, well, this should be Luka Dean's last game in an Everton shirt for pulling that. Really? Hey. Really? Really? Guy makes one tackle in a game, and you know what are you going to do? Also blame him for Millwall? What are you going to do? Say that, oh, Luka Dean is responsible for Millwall winning the FA Cup tie because he fouled somebody, you know, way by the touchline twice, and they scored off of two crosses that should have been defended better and shouldn't have been able to get to a second ball, and what the hell are we doing defensively? It was an absolute shambles. No, that's Luka's fault. That's Luka Dean's fault. Yeah, it's his inexperience, his immaturity, it's his yada yada. You know what? No. Yeah, stupid foul. Yeah, didn't need to do it, but we see that in every game. We see it in every game. I think there was a game in the Liverpool game earlier, right, when Maguire scored out on the outside. That Scottish guy, whatever his name is, Robertson, foul. Of course, the commentators say that was an unnecessary foul. That was unnecessary. You know, and then the ball comes in, gets headed out, gets headed back in by Albrighton, maybe. I don't know who it was, but then Michael Keane. Maguire comes around the back. He's onside. He tucks it past. And what are you going to do? You're going to blame Robertson for that because he made a silly foul on the outside? No, of course not. The defensive line should have came out faster. Somebody should have tracked the run of Maguire. The ball should have been headed a farther distance from the clearance. So you're not going to put this on the left backs all the time, or the right backs, or whoever makes the foul. It's like when against Millwall, when we can see the free kick on the halfway line and they scored off of that. Is that whoever's fouled him on the halfway line's fault? I mean, we're not such a horrible team, I don't think, that we can concede from every single set piece that any team has against us for the 90 minutes. I mean, I sit there on the edge of my seat thinking that's going to happen, but the odds are, and if we were playing Sam Allardyce way, we would take the percentages, right? We'd go with the percentages. We'd do the math, and we'd split the game into certain sections, and we'd dominate the percentages in that section of the game. We'll end up winning the game and take it. And, you know, that's a great way, and your win-loss ratio might look great from that, and it might be good game management. But you know what? Give me fast-paced, attacking, fluid football all day. Give me that one section of the game, right? One section of the game. Or you start off with one section of the game. Go out there, score some goals, don't concede, win. Okay, and you score a goal, and then another section of the play comes in. But I'm not one for all this. Okay, for the first 15 minutes we do this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this, and we'll break it down to nice, easy, manageable pieces. Because seriously, that's boring, that's predictable. It doesn't get anybody off their feet. You know, people that might want to sit there and say, that's a management masterclass. Get out of here. So anyways, yeah. Luka got sent off around, the 65th minute, so we had to play for, the last third of the game, down one player. John Joe came in, and he did an alright job. He didn't really look nervous, not like I was sitting here, because, that had been the other thing, too. That's the one thing I didn't want to happen, was have him come in and do something outrageous, like go to clear the ball with his left foot, he whiffs it, player gets in behind, crosses the ball in, and they score from 1 minute into extra time because our third choice, apparently left back, comes in after one goes off injured, one makes a silly decision, and then we concede from that. Because that's just been banter FC all over the place, and we're not banter FC at the end of the day. I mean, Man United drawing at home 2-2 to Burnley, that's banter, right? Chelsea losing today 4-0 away to Bournemouth, that's banter. And there's lots of them. We're just a mid-table team that's got a bunch of players from different managers that have played different styles, that are on high wages. Most of them can't get into the team. We have a very, very limited squad in what we can do when it comes to actual players that Marco Silva trusts. So we might have 13, 14 players that can play on a weekly basis. I mean, you take our regular starting 11, so, what do you got? Pickford, the 3 defenders, 5 defenders at the end of the day, plus Baines, that's 6. You've got Gomez, Sigurdsson, Ghana for now, Tom Davis, Lookman, Tosin, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Walcott. So, I mean, okay, so 15. At the end of the day, 15 professional players that should probably be starting, could start in the Everton lineup and do a somewhat decent job. And that's not really enough when you're playing either a game a week or like over the holiday period you pay once every 3 days for a while. Like, that's what we are. We've got high expectations. We've got the new stadium apparently in the works. And, one thing that people don't really want to touch on when it comes to Everton. I know I'm going off on tangents here and it's supposed to be a match review, but there wasn't really much to it, right? Everton 1, Huddersfield 0, Richarlison scored in the 3rd minute, most of the players played okay, Digne made a mistake, Tom Davis played really well, Tosin put in a good performance, Gomez, Sigurdsson didn't really do much, no other complaints for the rest of the team. Okay, match review done. And I'll probably do a video on what I'm about to say some other time, maybe tomorrow. But a thing I think that goes unlooked with Everton right now is, and I wouldn't want this, but maybe it's the price you pay for being a professional footballer. But if you take what a professional footballer entails, I'm not one, never been around one, don't know any, don't know the ins and outs of the footballing life of a megastar, right? Or somewhat, it could be from the conference all the way up to the Premier League, playing somewhere like, New Zealand or Greenland's professional football team, or, however they play it down in Somalia, or whatever, I don't know. But what I do know is that there's got to be enough pressure on a professional athlete just with the day in, day out rigors of what that entails. Obviously you don't just show up to training every day and have a laugh, have a little kickabout, and then on a Saturday or Sunday you show up and play a game. So that's the job, right? No, you've got commercial responsibilities, you've got media responsibilities, you've got community responsibilities, you've got a lot of traveling, you've got your family outside of work, you've got other things that you like to pay attention to. So that to balance all of that and still perform at a peak level, it's going to take some work. You got to do your fitness, you got to have your nutrition, you got to do your therapy. If you've got a little knock, you've got to stay mentally charged, and hopefully a lot of people stay away from the Twitter and the YouTube and all the other stuff and don't get too down about that. But imagine you've got all that, what I just said, right? And then on top of that, expectations for what? A new stadium. expectation to get into the top 6, expectation to, if we get into the Europa League, do well in the Europa League, and we're challenging for Champions League spots. Getting new players. We've got all this money, so we can always buy new players once we get new players out. And so you throw all that, the added pressure day in, day out, that these players, and you can say they might have to be extra mentally strong to deal with this. And we've got players from Barcelona that have been at that height, and that's what they do. But at the end of the day, it can't be the easiest thing mentally to deal with all these things, right? So sometimes you have to give people a break. That the expectation level is kind of unfair right now. This is obviously a project that's going to take 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's not going to get fixed by some of these reactionary, I'm not going to call them idiots, but reactionary idiots that want Silva out after 6 or 7 months. Oh, he's unqualified. What's he done? Yeah, he won something in Olympiacos or Portugal. Before that, he might have won something that Portuguese side, not sure. But then Olympiacos, and there was he done in the Premier League. He made Hull play semi-decent football, but he got relegated, and then he got his head turned by Everton while he was at Watford, and he destroyed their club. And he's inexperienced, and he's too stubborn, and he's too cocky, and he's just not qualified to be the manager of Everton Football Club. Okay, the one who is, who's going to come in and do something that we're looking for, right? Because we bought Big Sam in after we gave Unsworth his chance, and you say, oh well, what are you going to get with Allardyce? You're going to get out of a relegation scrap. You're going to play boring, pedantic, pedestrian, percentage-based football, and you're going to eke out a result every single time. You're going to shut up shop. You're going to put 10 men behind the ball. You're going to try and attack on the break. I mean, that's what lower teams in the division do when they're trying to get out of a relegation battle, or they're just trying to stay alive, or they're just trying not to get embarrassed week in, week out. Everton are bigger than that, right? And it all starts with the mentality. If Sam came in there and just said, okay guys, you are not going to enjoy this for the next couple of months. You're not going to get to express yourself very much. You're not going to play in the position you want to play in. It's going to be a regular, average, run-of-the-mill performance week in, week out. And we're just going to slowly climb the table, point by point by point by point by point. And by the end of the season, there'll be no fears, and we'll just get to the summer transfer. It's all the same. That's not what we want to see. We want to see actual progress when it comes to, I'm not saying Man City, I'm not saying Barcelona, I'm not saying Real Madrid, I'm not saying Liverpool, I'm not saying Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund or any of that free-flowing, interspersed, fluid, everyone can change positions, and a defender can play left back or right wing, and a right winger can play left back or center back, or the goalkeeper can play up front. All this, we can just interchange all of our players because they're all equally skilled and all equally qualified. That's not what we have right now. I've explained to what we have. We have a team of players from the Koeman era, from the Martinez era, from the Moyes era, from the Allardyce era. And now we've got some from the Silva era, and we've got people that aren't playing and they're out on loan and they're just pretty much not cut out to be at Everton Football Club. And so you can't expect progress. You can look at it on paper and say, oh, we've got a better squad on paper, but what does that really mean at the end of the day? Nothing. So that added pressure of all the stuff that comes down, and you see it in, and the club itself. I mean, it's not like you just say, oh, we're going to build a stadium. Let's just build a stadium. Just throw it up there. We'll deal with that later. Now you've got to deal with all the stuff from the council and the funding and the permits and the historical society. You've got to decide on, the capacity, what's going to work, the atmosphere, how's it going to look, all the things that go into it. If you want to look into it, you can, but when you do that, it kind of brings you down a little more when we lose and play bad, because it's like, well, if we're going to be a 11th or 12th or 10th or 7th, somewhere between 7th and 13th place team, why are we building a brand new stadium? Like, that's not the only gauge of what a big club is. I mean, you look at Sunderland. You watch Sunderland documentary, maybe not. But I've always thought the Stadium of Light is a great, great, great stadium. Love the way it looks. Love the way it sounds. Don't love the supporters. They're almost as bad as Millwall supporters. But either way, and it would be terrible if Everton and I don't think it'll ever happen. But what if we build a 62,000-seater stadium, or 52-seater thousand stadium, then go up to 62,000, and we just do nothing, and we just fall apart and collapse? I mean, Goodison's not going to be full in the championship. And like I said, this is way out there. It's not going to happen. But, you know, it's small building blocks, and we just need to see week by week, game by game improvement. And that's the problem when we got off to the start that we had at the start of the season. We were drawing games, yeah, but we were looking super fluid. I remember at the start of the season, Andre Gomez, you know, best midfielder in the league, had Tottenham already sniffing around 3 or 4 weeks into the season, and we were passing and we were flowing freely, and everyone was doing what they were supposed to be doing, and we were going forward and we were looking good. And then, of course, Liverpool game came, and it just all fell apart and went to shit. And then we came all the way down. You know, usually it's, oh, well, the manager's getting the tactics wrong, therefore let's work on the tactics. And then it became, well, the tactics are wrong and the players are wrong, so we need to fix those two things. And then it just fell off all the way down. And we finally got to, knock, knock, guys, we need to work on your attitude first. Okay, so we'll start with having you guys be arsed to show up on a Saturday or a Sunday and during training. And then we'll try and get everybody on the same page when it comes to attitude, and we have to remind you all what it means to play for Everton. We have to remind you what it says on our badge. We have to remind you what it means to the players, to the supporters, and what it means to the shareholders, and what it means to the sponsors. So let's start with attitude, then we can get to personnel, then we can get to tactics, then we can get to start building up. It just sucks that we fell off the cliff and had to go all the way back to square one. So I could be overly critical. I mean, I could go Archie the Wolf on you and, completely dissect that game up and down and tear everybody a new asshole. That, beating Huddersfield away from home, bottom of the league, 1-0, isn't good enough. I told you I wasn't going to do that. So, ranting, raving, rambling, that's what we do here. It'll get better. I mean, it's just hard to work on this stuff. It's going to sound disjointed and discombobulated, and you might not like the graphics on the screen, and things might need to be tweaked, and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, this is what, and there's plenty of Everton channels out there if you don't like this one. I've seen them before. Toffee TV is a great one. I'm sure most of you, if you're watching this video, are patrons on Toffee TV. That's a good thing. It's great content. I think the guys are great. They have great guests. One thing I will say, though, that if anybody wants to leave me if you are an Evertonian and you watch the games week in, week out, I would eventually like to do a watch-along with people. Living in Des Moines, Iowa, there's not really that many people that I can even talk to about Everton or anything. So if anybody in the comments would like to do something like a voice chat in Discord and watch the game together, we'll put it on YouTube and just have the screen set up, and we'll just stream and we'll just talk about the game. So once again, decent performance by Everton. We got the win. That's all that really matters. I'm not looking for too much. Oh, and by the way, before I start getting it, said a while ago that this season's just a write-off for Silver. I mean, we're not going to. Oh, the old mantra: we're not getting relegated. We're not getting top 6. But it's true. So if he wants to play Theo Walcott up top instead of Tosin or DLC, I don't care. If he wants to try putting Gomez at centre back, I don't care. If he wants to just say, hey, Pickford, get out a goal, we're going to bring in, not Stecklenburg, the Virginia the player in there. I don't care what we really do. As long as we don't embarrass ourselves, as long as we look like we're trying something, or if we find something that works, stick with it. Just entertain. Just look like you give a toss that you're there. And Everton supporters at home, give them something to cheer about. They don't want to walk in the gate and, 5 minutes into the game, everyone's sitting like this. Boo, 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 what are you doing? Like, it doesn't even look good on television. I can't imagine what it's like inside the stadium. So just give us something to cheer about. Just give us something positive. Make it look like we're going in the right direction, which we are. The model's there. The plan's there. It's just going to take a while for us to implement it all. I mean, Brandon Silva only been here 6 months. I'm sure they know what they're doing. I mean, you can slag off Mashiri. You can slag off him by saying, he just left Arsenal because he wanted to get his hand in the cookie jar and, man up and be a big owner. He wants to be like the Saudi sheiks, or he wants to be like the Glazers, or he wants to be like all these other. He just wants to look good. He wants to put it on his CV that he's the owner of a football club, so he's just going to splash money around because he's a rich bastard and can do whatever he wants. Sure, you can see it that way. Maybe I'm being fooled. Maybe a lot of people are being fooled into thinking that that's that. Maybe he's just here for his ego. Maybe he doesn't give a shit about Everton Football Club. Maybe Bill Kenwright doesn't really give a shit about Everton Football Club. Maybe Marco Silva doesn't really give a shit about Everton Football Club. It's just all a stepping block, right, guys? It's going to use Everton in order to advance their own careers and leave us in the shit. That's what some of you think, right? Reactionary pricks. You know, you've got to give it time. Come back in a year, and then we'll talk about Silva out. Then we'll talk about the squad depth. Then we'll talk about the quality of players we've bought. Then we'll talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. Until then, keep your reactionary stuff to yourself. You're only going to give yourself a brain aneurysm. It's only going to make it worse on yourself week in and week out when it comes to the games. Every time we can see the goals, oh, there we go again, Everton that, oh, we're so shit. And then we go 1-0 up, yes, 1-0 up, that's Everton, let's do it. Then but they score, oh, yay, and oh, and hey, and oh. I mean, how can you go for an emotional roller coaster like that when it's not really an emotional roller coaster and you're just doing it to yourself mentally for some unbeknownst reason? Find something else in your life that gives you entertainment. Don't take the stuff too seriously, because at the end of the day, like I said, you're going to give yourself an aneurysm. You're probably going to die early. You're probably going to give yourself high blood pressure, and you're not going to enjoy anything with taking all the medication, having constant migraines and tension headaches and all this stuff. So, you know, just relax. Things will get better, and if they don't, the appropriate actions will be taken and we start over. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the rambling. No Archie the Wolf today, but